Can the fourth inning really be over? 10 runs in the fourth to make it 6-4 Cleveland. On to the fifth we go from Jacobs Field. And Ivan Rodriguez, who opened the 4-run fourth for the Rangers, will open the fifth inning. Facing Jason Grimsley, who misses low and away, ball one.
Now Jason gets some incentive here because he can win a ball game.
He becomes the pitcher of record, with the Indians exploding for 6 in the bottom of this frame. Breaking ball is over for a strike.
Now, we touched on it earlier, Dwayne, that the Indians bullpen this year is marvelous. There's no getting around it. They have some young guys down there, and for the most part, a lot of strong-armed throwers. They don't come in too often and try to pick for at the strike zone. They just fire right at you, and they've been very successful.
Count is 2-1. How about that fella right there, Jim?
He has been tremendous. When they made a reliever out of him, he didn't like it. Now he said he wouldn't do anything but would never think of starting again. And also, as we mentioned, Julian Taveras, Chad Ogea. These are youngsters that they use out of the bullpen. Ogea is 4-1 as a starter. They get to work those fellas into their rotation in time, and Taveras should be a starter. He has great stuff.
Right now they're using them to get the game to Jose Mesa. 3-1 pitch. He goes the other way toward the corner. Ramirez comes up with the ball, but Rodriguez is headed to second with the double. So Rodriguez, who started the 4-run fourth when he went the other way on an 0-2 pitch and singled into right, doubles up the right side on a 3-1 pitch this time.
Well, he's a strong little hitter. From middle in, if he turns on the pitch, he can hit it out of the ballpark, but still well adept at taking the ball the other way. Now with a runner at second, the Indians do put the shift on for Juan Gonzalez.
Gonzalez has a single. 1 for 2. Big breaking ball as Pena scoots out there to stay in front of it. Fifth inning of this contest. Grimsley in relief of Bud Black gets a new baseball. Rodriguez, the all-star catcher, at second base with a leadoff double. 2-0 to count.
It's my first of the day. You just got 6 runs. You give up a leadoff double, and you try to throw 2 breaking balls. There are times when you have to take the challenge and challenge the hitter.
Even if it is Juan Gonzalez, who lifts a fly ball right center. Ramirez is there, makes the catch for the out. 1 gone with a man on second base. After 2 stages of the Tour de France presented by Michelin, Laurent Jobert of France, the current leader. This cycling event takes the world's premier riders through some of the most beautiful spots in the world, from western France through the Alps and on to Paris. ESPN will have stage 3 coverage tonight beginning at 12:30 a.m. Eastern, and then stage 4 racing tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. By the way, Lance Armstrong, the U.S. winner of this year's Tour de Pont, is currently 37th. Here is Mickey Tettleton. A ball, no strikes. Tettleton with a run batted in on a ground ball to third in the 4th inning. He is 1 for 2 in this game. A 2-run game, 6-4, Cleveland leading. Two balls, no strikes to count. Some healthy numbers, Jim, against this ball club.
The thing about Mickey Tettleton, he's so quiet in the batter's box. Every hitter has one little thing to get their bat started, whether it's in their footwork or just a little crank of their hands to get the bat going. For Tettleton, you have to look a long way back to try and find anybody that's anywhere near the way they set up in the batter's box like Tettleton. I remember Bobby Bonds in the early 70s. He used to start his bat with his hands right on his right hip. And it would be, you'd never really know. So every at bat would be different. Sometimes you start the letters, but most times down around the hip. And you have to have strength and speed to be able to get away with that.
And he draws the walk. It's the 49th time Tettleton has walked. He's 4th in the American League in that department. Grimsley came on in the 4th and walked Nixon, the first man he faced, and then fell behind McLemore. Finally got him looking on a called third strike that you might characterize as a borderline pitch with a final out of the 4th inning, and now he walks Tettleton here. Most walks in the 90s. Tettleton just behind Frank Thomas.
You know what I find interesting about that graphic is everybody but Tettleton up with the batting average. Most of those fellas are going to hit for a higher average. So in Tettleton's case, his problem is the strikeouts. Frank Thomas, for a power hitter, is very knowledgeable of the strike zone. Bonds, Phillips, these guys put the bat on the ball, obviously, and in Barry's case, more of a power hitter. But for Tettleton, even though he is very good at recognizing strikes, too often he swings and misses them.
Yeah, he's about 1 for 1 when it comes to walks and strikeouts. This pitch starts slow and outside. 1 ball, no strikes, the count to Luis Ortiz. Bud Black charged with 4 runs. Jason Grimsley in relief. And a fly ball off the breaking ball in the center. Amaro is there to make the catch.
And just to finish up on Mickey Tettleton as well, I guess when he does make contact, it pays off.
A lot of strikeouts, a lot of walks, and a lot of distance when it comes to Tettleton. 2 outs with 2 men on. And Johnny Oates will go to his bench with Voit due. He's going to call upon Pagliarulo.
Well, you don't know from this inning on what kind of situation you're going to be in. I'm talking in terms of base runners. So you have a chance with 1 swing of the bat to get back in the game. And this is, I think, one of those typical percentage moves, Dwayne, where Johnny Oates recognizes he may not have too many other opportunities. So he's going to take his shot here in the 5th inning.
So Pagliarulo will do the hitting in the place of Jack Voit. Two men on, 2 men out. Ball 1. Pagliarulo has hit .259 for the year. Looking for his first home run. Grimsley throws a strike. It's 1-1. Pinch hitting, Pagliarulo is 3 out of 8 for the year. He and Rusty Greer have been the 2 most successful pinch hitters, and he has a pinch hit here. Rodriguez on his way to the plate to make it a 1-run ball game. The throws to third as Tettleton stops at second. So Pagliarulo comes through with a pinch hit single, and it's 6-5.
Second half of the game, really, and you start button pushing, and in this case, Johnny Oates plugs in the right fellow. A lot of experience in Mike Pagliarulo, so he did not get over anxious there, waited and stayed back on the pitch and comes up with a base hit.
And a visit to the mound, Mark Wiley, the pitching coach. It's a 6-5 ball game. The Cleveland Indians leading the Texas Rangers this afternoon at Jacobs Field with Jim Rooker. Dwayne Stats with you, and it's good to have you with us. 4 runs in the 4th for the Rangers, 6 for the Indians in the bottom, and now Texas back with a run in the 5th inning to make it A one-run contest. Grimsley on in relief of Bud Black. Mark Wiley taking a little extra time as the Indians get their bullpen up. Grimsley did manage to get out of the fourth, giving up a walk and then a strikeout, but has been touched for a run in the fifth.
Most of the time when the pitching coach comes out, it's a mechanical thing. I'm not saying that is the problem here, but either that or you just go out and put positive thoughts in a pitcher's mind, become more aggressive. And as you watch the pattern for Grimsley here in the fifth inning, he is certainly throwing an awful lot of off-speed pitches.
He faces Eric Fox, and the pitch is a strike.
And he comes right back with a fastball. Too often pitchers will try to fool hitters or make them look bad with off-speed pitches. There's so many times you can do that with a fastball.
2 strikes here to Fox with that foul ball. It was interesting when he first came in and walked Nixon on 4 pitches. He missed with the fastball, and the first strike he threw finally to the next hitter, McLemore, was the breaking ball, and he seemed to then stick with that pitch.
And then sometimes you can fall in love with it and lose your concentration and forget about the other pitch, and again, that being the fastball.
A popper short left center. Bell playing shallow is there to make the catch to retire the Rangers, who come back with a run on 2 hits and leave 2. We're headed into the bottom of the fifth from Cleveland. 6-5 Indians. Back in Cleveland, it's a 6-5 ball game with the Indians leading the Texas Rangers. Cleveland exploded for all 6 in the fourth, hitting 3 home runs. Carlos Baerga connected for the first one. Jim Thome's home run tied it, and Ruben Amaro hit one out to give the Indians the lead as they sent 9 men to the plate in the 4th inning. And as we open the bottom of the 5th, every starting pitcher's nightmare will send Baerga to the plate to lead off this inning.
With all of that baseball hitting the lumber, I would say the Indians had a board meeting in that
yes, they did. Baerga has a double and a home run. 100 home runs for the year for the Indians now. Dennis Cook on in relief of the starting pitcher Terry Burrows, who was charged with all 6 runs in 3 1/3. There's a strike to Baerga. There's Mike Pagliarulo, who pinch hit and drove in a run in the top of the 5th. He stays on to play first. Cook out in front, 0-2. Baerga worked the count to 3-2 in the 4th inning. Fouled away a couple of pitches and then drove the high fastball out to left. The Indians were winners last night, 9-1. Pitch too high, and they lead 6-5 this afternoon. The Indians have won 7 of their last 8. They have an 11-game lead in the Central Division, and the Cleveland fans are loving it. A ball, 2 strikes to count to Baerga. That squares it. How much are these fans loving it? Well, starting play today, the Indians had, I think, 43 games left, 43 home dates. They have about 80,000 tickets total left to sell for the entire season. And they figure that a little later on this month, all of those tickets will be gone. So by sometime in July, maybe the 3rd week of July, they will have sold every available ticket for this year.
And their average attendance, 37,600 plus, will increase.
3-2 is popped up this time. That's McLemore at second, making the call and the catch. That's the first out. gives Baerga 2 out of 3. And brings along Albert Bell. Bell singled in the 4th inning and scored a run. And that run he scored was his 48th of the year, so he has 48 runs batted in, among the top 10 in that department, and 48 runs scored among the top 10 in that category. 1 strike from Dennis Cook. Too high. 1 ball, 1 strike.
So when we saw with Mickey Tettleton batting in the top of this inning with the bat flattened out, a little unusual to stand that way. And Albert Bell, just to give you an idea of his strength, where he holds the bat right in front of his chest. And you see that little crank there. He brings the bat back and does not take a big stride. So he's able to keep the bat back and still get it quick through the strike zone. The bigger stride you take, the longer your swing is. So here's a fellow with a short swing, strong, and hits the ball everywhere. How do you pitch him? I don't know if they figured that out yet.
This one is too low, and he did not offer. The count goes to 3 balls and a strike.
There's the stance. Now you see the little crank there, and he does stride out, but his foot, it almost looks like he brings it back just a little. He has good balance at the plate. There's another good operative word, balance for a hitter. Try to stay on balance, because that's what the pitcher's job is, to get you off balance.
And there's a strike. And the shorter that stroke is, the more difficult that is to do. And when you can put power and then that short stroke together, you really got something. That's what Mark McGwire has done out in Oakland. He is amazing, the stroke he has with that tremendous power. 3-2 to Bell, and he is out on strikes. Cook picking up his 2nd strikeout.
Oh, you watch this on Albert Bell, and it almost looks like he was somewhat confused. Didn't have what you call that real aggressive swing. It was a little slower at full speed. It didn't look like an Albert Bell swing that you're used to seeing, but normally when that does happen, it's because the fellow out there that threw the ball did something in some fashion, fooled you with the pitch, or just made a dandy.
Base is empty. 2 outs for Manny Ramirez. And it's too low. Ball 1.
If there was ever a Candy Maldonado lookalike as a youngster, that's what Manny Ramirez reminds me of. The stance, everything there.
And one of 6 Indians will be going to the All-Star game. As a matter of fact, as we see Ramirez there in the batter's box and Rodriguez behind him, I think they will be the 2 youngest All-Stars this year on the American League team. Manny Ramirez, 23, and Rodriguez, who's only 23, will be going to his 4th All-Star game. Base is empty. 2 outs. 6-5. The Indians out in front. And Cook throws a strike. 2-1. Cook happy to be in Texas. When he talked with John Hart about a possible trade, he mentioned that Texas would be a great spot because he lives in Austin. He pitched at the University of Texas. And Cook appreciative that Hart was able to oblige with that move.
And maybe to add
3
to
balls
that,
and a strike.
Yeah, you might have looked at the standings and said, and they're not in a bad position either. I wouldn't mind joining a ball club that's playing some good baseball.
Yep. There's a shot foul back to third. 3 balls and 2 strikes. And Cook is not the only Texas Longhorn at the ballpark today. our illustrious producer. Bob wanted us to throw that in. He said, make sure that you give the Longhorns a little plug here. Full count. Now you know what's going to happen. There's going to be some guy from Texas A&M pop in and say, if you mention the Longhorns, you've got to mention the Aggies. That's the way it goes in Texas. California leading the Texas Rangers by 1 full game in the American League's Western Division.
I will get my first look at the Angels tomorrow night in Anaheim.
Foul ball. Ramirez with a piece of it to force another 3-2 pitch. Well, they've been a great story in the Western Division. They're trying to capture the imagination of their fans, and with at least partial new ownership, they're very enthused by what that might bring to Orange County. There's some great marketing possibilities there, particularly if they continue to play well. Three and two. Foul again, straight back. Rangers have out hit the Indians by 4, 9-5, but the Indians, using 3 home runs in the 4th inning, scored all 6 of their runs and lead 6-5. Terry Burroughs got through the front 3 innings all right. Ran into problems immediately in the 4th. When Baerga opened with a home run, and the rest of it was not very pleasant for Terry Burroughs. There's a walk. Ramirez walks for the 2nd consecutive time. 2-out pass, and it brings Jim Thome to the plate. He gets a nice hand.
Yes, he should. In the 4th inning, we saw the 3 home runs, and that's the thing about playing Cleveland. You might be able to out-hit them in the numbers, but you can't out-slug them. And if Cleveland should hit 1 more home run in this game, they will have 40 more home runs than the Texas Rangers.
When you look at the home run differential, just the home runs they've hit and the home runs they've given up, they're almost 2-1. They've hit 100 home runs and have surrendered 56. Indians, leading the league in hitting, have the best team ERA. And starting play today, they were 2nd in the league in runs scored, behind the California Angels.
You see Dennis Cook trying to equalize things there and drop down a little bit on Jim Thome. Talked about Thome, his average much better this year than in the past against left-handers, and there are subtle little adjustments you have to make. Now getting a different look from Cook as opposed to Burroughs, a left-hander as well, but throwing more over the top from Burroughs, and Cook just dropped down. Try to get the hitter to give ground a little bit and use the outside part of the plate. We'll just see if Thome does make that adjustment.
You saw the up-to-date numbers for Thome against left-handers this year. .323. 2 balls and no strikes. And this always an interesting test for a fellow who has made some strides against left-handed pitching to face Cook with this approach.
Well, the toughest thing for him to do, talking about Thome, is to pick up that release point. Where does Cook release the ball as opposed to where Burroughs was releasing it?
That's Manny Ramirez at first base. Iurulo now at first in the place of Voit. Jack Voit lifted for the pinch hitter.
Now this Texas outfield is playing Thome as deep as any outfield you're going to see play any hitter.
And Cook falls behind him. 3 balls, no strikes. And the Yankees and the White Sox to follow this game from Comiskey Park in Chicago, part of ESPN's triple header on this 4th of July, and we're hopeful that you'll be with us for all of our coverage of Major League Baseball as you enjoy the 4th of July. Thome swinging and rolls it foul. And they turned him loose, 3-0. It's 3-1.
Now that was a nice thought by Mike Pagliarulo. he was trying to get to the ball before it went foul instead of laying back, but the ball did kick to foul territory. But it's not a bad idea. Try to get this inning over without any real damage being done.
So the count is 3-1 on Thome. And a bouncing ball. McLemore to his right. Back to first. He beat it out. Thome has an infield hit. McLemore couldn't get much on the throw after ranging to his right. So there's an infield hit for Thome.
The thing about this play, Dwayne, the ball is more of a bouncer than a roller. So as an infielder, if you charge the ball, you probably have a chance of making your own good hop by laying back like that. You go to the backhand side, much farther to throw the ball, and good hustle on Jim Thome's part. Now, part of that option was going to second base with Beltre there, if you think about it, but apparently McLemore was thinking first base all the way. But this is a play that obviously should be made that isn't. And these are also the kinds of plays that allows that one extra out to a ball club that you really don't want to do. You don't want to give them that.
There's some pitchers thinking the Indians should be allowed maybe only 24 outs in a game instead of 27. They get an extra one. And here's Herbert Perry. There goes a man off second. The pitch is popped down the right side. That's going to be foul. Out of the reach of Pagliarulo. Manny Ramirez was breaking off second base, and I guess he thought he had Cook completely read.
Either that, or if you go on the first pitch like that, sometimes you try to catch the defense off guard, and many times you get the third base moving to take the third baseman moving, and you may create the bad throw. Now, even though Ivan Rodriguez is an excellent throwing catcher, there's no question about that, there's still that possibility of forcing an error. So that might have been the thought. Plus, again, when you do it on the first pitch, Dwayne, sometimes the defense isn't quite settled in.
Perry looking for his first hit of the day. 25-year-old infielder. He's hit 3 home runs for the Indians. Now a turn, and Ramirez is back in at second. Beltre trying to keep him a little closer now. Dennis Cook, 2 on, 2 outs. Misses outside. It's 1-1. Perry was called from the minor leagues in the middle of June when Dave Winfield was removed and placed on the disabled list with a left shoulder strain. Perry seeing most of the action at first base against left-handers.
Good cut.
I thought he was right on that one and fouled it back 1-2.
Another thing that you notice about the Indians, you don't see very often they go up there and peruse the strike zone. They may take a pitch on occasion to see what a guy has, but that next time around, they have a pretty good idea. They leave the bench with that bat cocked and ready to crank it.
Well, Dennis Cook, the former Indian, working in relief for the Texas Rangers in the 5th. And a big cut and a miss by Perry. He's out on strikes to retire the side. 3 strikeouts for Cook. 2 men left in the inning through 5. 6-5 Cleveland. It's a 1-run ball game. We're going into the 6th inning, and the Indians have a new pitcher. They have a 6-5 lead, and Julian Tavarez takes over following Bud Black and Jason Grimsley.
Well, here is another one of those blue chippers out of the Cleveland bullpen, and we mentioned somewhere in the future This fellow should be in the Cleveland starting rotation. Has an excellent fastball, sharp breaking pitches, and as a rookie, the American League batting only .219 against him.
He was a 15-game winner last year at Charlotte, and with those 5 wins this year, his teammates are calling him the Vulture because he's taking advantage of this Cleveland offense, entering games in the middle and late, and being around and winning some games when the Indian offense explodes and scores a ton of runs.
Yeah, usually when you get that tag, a couple of things happen. Either you give it up or your club comes back, and in this case, he is not giving up very much. It's a case of the Indians being able to come back and score an awful lot of runs, but also at the same time a tribute to the fact that with Cleveland and their bullpen, holding the opposition down. Taveras has been a big part of that, so if Mike Hargrove's idea may be to use him for 2, perhaps 3 innings, set it up for Mesa.
And when the Indians talk about their bullpen, Mike Hargrove, Mesa in particular, has done such a great job. Throws the ball harder than anybody else, but when you consider stuff all around, command of pitches, this is the guy who they like to talk about. This is Beltre leading off. Fist one out to short, and Vizquel throws him out.
Well, another thing you like to see about him, you saw in the first pitch there, he goes right at the hitters. For a rookie, he is not the kind of guy that likes to slice and dice in the strike zone. He comes right at you, will throw the ball not so much down the middle, but he doesn't work the edge either. He will give you a pretty good pitch to hit, but he's not that easy to hit because his stuff is so good.
Now Otis Nixon, the top of the order for the Rangers. Thome in at third. First pitch is too high, ball 1. There's Thome. Buddy Bell, who has handled the infielders for Mike Hargrove, has spent a lot of time with Thome, refining some of his defensive skills. You know, it wasn't too long ago they were concerned about his throwing, and that seems to be something they've conquered. Bell knows a little something about playing third base himself. And the count is 3-0.
Well, when you look at the Indians statistic-wise defensively, they're not among the leaders, but they're also not as bad as the number might indicate, where they make dumb plays. There are just many times where it's lack of concentration.
And a strike on the outside edge. 3-1. One of the things with Thome now, they like for him to get a little better read on balls that are hit. Instead of maybe waiting and picking up the ball on the first hop, they'd like for him to anticipate, get a little better read off the bat, and they think that would improve his reaction time down at third. And a strike, and the count goes to 3-2, because naturally he does not have great range at third, but there have been some great third basemen without great range, but they've had great reaction.
Well, that's it. The word you use, though, anticipation. Think that everything is going to be hit to you, and you're never caught by surprise.
Count remains full on Nixon as he fouls the pitch away. 1 out. We're in the 6th. Rangers trail the Indians by 1. And a ground ball headed to second. Baerga takes care of that one. Baerga to Perry. And they have Nixon and his speed off the bases for the second out.
Yeah, that's a Mr. Feelgood play. You see, you hear the term dig it out. Baerga, it looked like he got caught a little flat-footed, but he really stayed and hung in there on that ball. He didn't get what you consider a real favorable hop, but he dug it out a little bit and made the play.
Well, he considers himself kind of a blue-collar player anyway, and that's his approach to second base.
Good idea. Good outlook.
Here's Mark McLemore. He's 0 for 3, out trying to bunt his way on back in the 3rd inning when Bud Black, the Indian starting pitcher, made a nice play on him. Down the left side toward the corner. Bell's going to have to chase it to the wall. 2 bases coming for McLemore. A 2-out double the other way. And that will give the Texas Rangers 10 hits.
Well, it's a nice job by McLemore. Here's a guy that plays the outfield, plays second base, does a real good job for Texas, and just gets a pitch that he doesn't try to pull, hits it the other way, and Albert gets it back in and holds the Texas second baseman to a 2-base hit. Talk about, was it a few innings ago, one player trying to make up one play for another. McLemore, even though it didn't hurt Texas in the bottom of the 5th inning, the base hit by Jim Thome, which he did misplace somewhat, he gets himself into scoring position for Ivan Rodriguez.
Rodriguez has 2 hits and 2 runs scored on the day. 2 for 3, hitting .325. Takes the first pitch for a ball. Tavares, the 3rd pitcher of the day, employed by Mike Hargrove and Mark Wiley. He's just 22 years old. Turned 22 near the end of May. Pickoff play at second. And it was Vizquel breaking to the bag, and McLemore got in under the tag.
Well, it's such a timing play. Everything has to be perfect for it to work right. That was the daylight play. You saw Tavares out of the corner of his eye. He could see that the shortstop breaking to the bag. And once you see daylight between the defensive player and the base runner, that's when you spin and throw.
And a roller headed too short. Vizquel, a routine play. Rodriguez is out. So are the Rangers in the 6th. No runs, a hit, a man left. Bottom of the 6th coming. 6-5 Indians. Back in Cleveland, Dwayne Stats, Jim Rooker as we head into the bottom of the 6th inning. Well, we've seen what we pretty much expected, I think. Some offense out of this Cleveland ball club, and both managers hoping that they could get as many innings as they could out of their starting pitchers.
Well, you don't have exactly a marquee matchup, but I think from the offensive standpoint, you're right, Dwayne. Cleveland doing what they do so well, knock the ball out of the ballpark. Now, from the other side, if Mike Hargrove can get his bullpen working and get it in a way so he can get the matchups that he likes, then things should look pretty good for Cleveland this afternoon.
Well, it's going to be perhaps with a 1-run ball game going, it will be a battle of the bullpens as the Texas Rangers try to snap out of a mini 3-game losing streak, a streak in which they've dropped 4 of 5, and the Cleveland Indians try to continue their home dominance. Last year winning 35 and losing only 16 here at Jacobs Field, and this year continuing that with a record of 22-7 at home. They will send the veteran catcher Tony Pena to lead off the bottom of the 6th inning. Pena did the bulk of the catching in the absence of Alomar. Alomar homered last night, playing in the first game of the series with Texas. Pena with a base hit up the middle on the first pitch. Well, Tony's on for the 2nd time in this game.
Well, it's a good combination with Pena and Alomar. Here he is getting a break. The knees, and he caught last night. You give him today off. And Mike Hargrove also mentioned one thing that had been missing on his ball club. And even though Tony Pena's doing a nice job handling the pitching staff, they haven't been or hadn't been throwing out base runners very well. So that's something Alomar adds.
Now Ruben Amaro, the number 9 hitter, steps in, and he is the difference in this game. It was his 2-run home run that capped that 6-run 4th. He did not offer at that pitch on the appeal down to Mike Riley at first. Ball 1. All of the Indian runs came in the 4th. Two balls, no strikes, the count on Ruben Amaro. Three and a third innings for Burroughs. All 6 runs charged to the Rangers starting pitcher. Cook got the final 2 outs in the 4th inning. Got through the 5th and now working here in the 6th. Bouncing ball, Beltre. Nice play to get the lead man at second base on the force to McLemore. So Pena forced at second for the first out. 1 on, 1 out. We'll go to Gary Miller.
Dwayne, it's over at Busch. The Cardinals are in last, and here's one of the reasons why. They're threatening off Pedro Martinez with 2 aboard. Ramon Caraballo hits one in the gap. Where is it? Rondell White is there. Darnell Coles was at second base. He's doubled off. Martinez shuts him out on 4 hits. Back to you.
So a shutout, the Expos over the Cardinals. A 6-5 Cleveland lead in the bottom of the 6th here. Top of the order for the Indians, Kenny Lofton. Lofton reached base in the 3rd inning when he drew a walk. Otherwise, nothing of 2. Romero at first, reaching on the fielder's choice. Again over there.
Not surprising that Cook will throw over there. With that force out at second, you get better speed on the bases with Romero.
There he goes. The pitch is a ball and the throw is offline. A stolen base. Romero picks up his first stolen base of the year in his 2nd attempt.
When you face a left-handed pitcher as a base runner, it becomes a guessing game. You guess right or wrong whether he goes to first or the plate. And you see that Cook does not have a quick move to home plate. He has a high leg kick, so you get a good jump. Romero off to the races and gets the stolen base.
So he's in scoring position. A ball, no strikes to count to Lofton. This one down. 2 balls and no strikes. You're right. He got a good jump off Cook. Rodriguez, however, has thrown out just 1 of 12 would-be base stealers since coming back. He missed a series of 4 games because of a sore right shoulder. He was throwing extremely well before then. And as you know, normally speaking, very few liberties would be taken with Rodriguez. Lofton takes ball 3. 3-0.
Normally, if you give Rodriguez a chance, he will do the job. And too often, when you see base runners or that ugly number, not as many caught stolen as you'd like, they point at the catcher, but really not so much the case with Rodriguez.
There is a strike. It's 3-1. Indians 43-18. They've won 7 out of their last 8. And Lofton walks for the 2nd time today. 2 men on with 1 out. That's the veteran Roger McDowell throwing in the Texas Rangers bullpen. Dennis Cook in relief for Johnny Oates and Dick Bosman. Burroughs started. Vizquel, the switch hitting shortstops up there. Then they get into Baerga and Bell and Ramirez, the middle part of the order. So they're getting the right-hander McDowell ready. First pitch. Vizquel pops it into short left center. Beltre out, and he's going to make the call and the grab, as it turns out. An infield fly. Vizquel takes care. Beltre takes care of Vizquel for the 2nd out. And now Carlos Baerga. Baerga has 2 hits, including the home run to start the 6-run uprising in the 4th. Baerga powered that ball out of here in the 4th inning on a 3-2 pitch. He will tell you that he thinks he's a better hitter for average right-handed, maybe more power left-handed, but he had plenty of power in that right-handed stroke. Baerga takes ball 1. The Indians have now scored 360 runs. California started the day with 359 to lead the league. Now for just a moment, Rodriguez thought he had the base runner Romero caught off second base, but McLemore couldn't get over there in time.
On occasion, the base runner can be fooled. You see Romero, he starts, he gets almost a running lead, and then sees the hitter swing through the pitch. Sometimes you can get caught up in that, and you're so often seeing your teammates make contact, you get caught going the wrong way.
A 1-1 count. A strike on the corner. Baerga thought it might have been a little wide by his reaction, but he's down on the count now. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Baerga generally puts the ball into play. Doesn't walk much, doesn't strike out much. He went 98 plate appearances this year before he struck out. He's walked 15 times, struck out 16 times so far this year. And behind in the count now, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, that
Larry
is
Young taking a look at that baseball. He's going to throw it out of play.
Sorry, Dwayne, that is a good strikeout number, but you'd like to see him walk a little bit more. But how can you argue? He's an all-star and he's hitting .335. But that is a very low number of walks for as many at bats.
Two outs with 2 men on base. The Indians trying to add to their lead, which stands at a single run. And that's going to be foul. Rodriguez tracks it down as it stops outside the line.
Now, Dennis Cook has a couple of pitches to work with if he decides to take the count 3-2, but he's tried to work the outside part of the plate and take the power away from Baerga, not letting him pull the ball and maybe the chance of giving up a long one. But he did go inside with the breaking ball. Now he comes back with 2 pitches away. So this is where that setting up the hitter, the sequence of pitches. Do you try to risk coming in, tying up Baerga, and if you do miss, you better miss off the plate? Or do you just stay away and try to get him to pull the ball? If he tries to do that, more times than not, you'll get a ground ball. Or in Baerga's case, and he's such a good hitter, if he goes the other way, he could get the base hit. And there's a lot of options here.
Now we see Cook and Baerga each stepping back here in this situation. That's something that we might not see much of beyond the All-Star game with the rule changes. The 1-2 again. And a pop-up right side for McLemore at second. That will take care of the Indians in the 6th. No runs. They leave 2. We're through 6. 6-5 Cleveland. Back at Jacobs Field in Cleveland, where the Indians lead the Rangers 6-5 going into the 7th inning. Mike Hargrove earlier today talked with us about the impending rule changes after the All-Star game.
If they try to keep the hitter in the box all the time, then I think they're doing I think they're doing a disservice to the hitter, to the ball club they hit for, and to the people that come to watch him. because there are times that that a hitter does need the extra time to think about, you know, what the pitch was, what the guy's trying to do with him, and get ready to hit that next pitch. I also think there's times the pitcher needs to do the same thing. So while if they're going to keep the hitter in the box, they need to keep the pitcher on the mound, but they also have to use a little bit of common sense and logic about it.
Mike was the 74 Rookie of the Year in the American League, and as his career progressed, became known as the human rain delay, so naturally that would be his take on keeping that hitter in the batter's box.
Certainly one of the most fidgety players that I've ever seen, and now in between innings talking with home plate umpire Larry Young probably about that confrontation with Dennis Cook and Carlos Baerga. But one term he used, common sense. That's something that should really apply, something that isn't used enough.
Well, Juan Gonzalez looking at a breaking ball, picking up the edge. Strike one. Well, it has always been the umpire's prerogative to keep that batter in the box as long as the umpires felt they had the backing of the league office to implement those kind of things. Thome, nice pick, and the throw to first off the bag, but Perry came off the bag to get the tag. Now, we mentioned his throwing earlier, and one of the things they wanted him to do was not wait. Come up with the ball and unload it quickly. Now think about it.
Well, if you make the errant throw, especially if you unload it in a hurry, it gives your first baseman time to come off the bag, get back, and tag the runner. But if you take one little hop and put something on the ball, again, he just kind of flipped the ball across the infield. That makes the ball sail a little bit, and it's just not as accurate. Unload it quickly, but maybe put a little more on it. Now they put a shift on Tettleton again, this time the other way with a shortstop coming over on the right field side of second base.
And Taveras throws a strike to Tettleton. Tettleton, a single, a ground ball, run batted in, and a walk. Thome's the only man left on the left side of the Cleveland infield.
Well, they have a 5-man defense against them. 3 on the infield, 2 in the outfield. Right center, down over toward right. Albert Bell and Jim Thome, the only 2 guys on the left side of the infield and outfield.
2 balls and a strike to count. We're in the 7th.
Well, with all the talk about speeding up the game, when was the last time you've ever seen rules implemented in the middle of the season? I mean, common sense again comes into play. What kind of common sense is that? To me, it's something again that is somewhat of a distraction.
Well, it's been discussed over and over, but of the laundry list of things that they hope to implement, it made sense to me that if you enforce the high strike, that it would make the game more aggressive.
You're reading my mind.
Well, you used to pitch, so
well,
of course.
Not just so much the high strike, but the fellow that's involved in all of this was a former umpire. Why get an umpire to tell you how to speed up the game when, as an umpire, he was one of the villains, not using the strike zone properly?
Yeah, and you know, they always tell you, well, if they get support to enforce a certain thing, they will, and I think that's legitimate. They have to feel confident that they'll be backed up. And that comment comes up a lot when you discuss the high strike. It seems to me that one particular element of the game, if it were enforced, would make hitters more aggressive and therefore the rest of the game more aggressive. Hitters on their toes. Taveras goes to second, out there. Over to first. They turn the double play. Taveras, Baerga to Perry. Ortiz hits into 2 to retire the Texas Rangers in the 7th. So the walk erased on the double play. Bottom of the 7th coming. The Indians 6 and the Rangers 5. Happy 4th of July. ESPN and Major League Baseball starting our triple-header coverage in Cleveland, where the fans are celebrating the day. We're going into the bottom of the 7th, and the Texas Rangers have their 3rd pitcher of the day, Roger McDowell.
The well-traveled Roger McDowell doing a nice job for Texas. 29th appearance. Obviously all out of the bullpen, sinker, slider type pitcher.
So he gets to come in and face the middle of the order. Albert Bell, Manny Ramirez, and Jim Thome. Trying to hold the Indians. The Indians lead by 1, and the pitch to Bell is a strike. Nice job by Dennis Cook, 2 2/3. No runs, 2 hits. In relief of Burroughs, the starting pitcher. Terry Burroughs gave up all 6 runs in the 4th inning. Outside. 1-1. Indians have Jim Poole, the left-hander, throwing in the bullpen. Bottom of the 7th. That caught the edge, says Larry Young. The count is 1-2 on Bell.
Now McDowell is one of those pitchers that does live on the edge of the plate. He really can work those corners very well.
Bouncing ball to the right side from McLemore. 1 gone. Well, you might have been right before you added anything. If you know his sense of humor, he does live on the edge a little bit. Coming up next at 4 Eastern time will be, well, it's a little past 4 now, I guess. It'll be coming up after this game at Comiskey Park in Chicago. The White Sox and the Yankees. Both teams trying to rebound after disappointing starts. Chris Berman and Tommy Hutton coming along. The Yankees and the White Sox following our game from Comiskey. Manny Ramirez. Pitch to him is a strike on the outside corner. A couple of bases on balls for Ramirez today. He is nothing of 1. Another roller to the right side. McLemore, Marulo, 2 gone. So 2 ground balls. And that's when McDowell is right.
Roger McDowell, you think back to the days, especially with the New York Mets, his sinker was devastating. It was almost like a left-hander's curveball or a right-hander's screwball. And maybe that does lend to his personality a little bit, but still throwing strikes. He doesn't waste a lot of pitches.
Jim Thome. Thome launched a tremendous 3-run home run in the 4th inning. 1 ball, no strikes. His 17th home run of the year.
Saw the numbers on McDowell. You watch again that the movement on the sinker, in this case left to right to Jim Thome. He'll start it almost at the center of the plate and try to run it right off the edge.
Thome fouls it right back into the screen. It's 2-1. Thome leading the Indians in home runs. Here they have Albert Bell, Eddie Murray, Manny Ramirez, Paul Sorrento, Carlos Baerga, all in double figures with home runs, and atop that list, Jim Thome. The home run in the 4th, his 17th of the year. And he is ahead 3 balls and a strike in the count against McDowell. Rangers have 2 shots left, so it's McDowell's job to try to hold the Indians. Did he go or not? Nope, he held up in time as the ball popped loose. Rodriguez tracks it down, and that's ball 4. So Thome is on for the 3rd consecutive time. A 2-out walk in the 7th.
Might have seen some smart pitching by Roger McDowell behind in the count. He wasn't going to give in to the hitter. Went with the sinker, and if you walk him, go ahead and take your chances with the next batter, which happens to be a right-handed hitter.
Herbert Perry looking for his first hit. He's flied out, popped out, and struck out. That's a foul ball. Rolling halfway to the screen, strike 1. Every spot in the Cleveland order has managed to reach base somehow today, except the 7th spot occupied by Perry and the 2nd spot occupied by Omar Vizquel. The Indians have 7 hits. They've drawn 5 walks. The Rangers have been charged with an error. Perry, ground ball to second, and McLemore, busy this inning, takes care of all 3 outs. McLemore to Pagliarulo. We go into the 8th, 6-5 Cleveland. Micah the Bald Eagle paid us a visit at Jacobs Field on this Independence Day over from SeaWorld of Ohio. So he's taking in the Indians and the Rangers along with the rest of us here. We've completed 7 innings. It's 6-5 with the Indians leading. And a reminder that coming along immediately following our game, the White Sox play host to the Yankees. Chris Berman and Tommy Hutton coming up next with that one. The second game of ESPN's triple header on the 4th of July. Mike Pagliarulo will open the 8th inning. Pagliarulo, Fox, and Beltry, with Taveras still on the mound for Cleveland following Black and Grimsley. Pagliarulo came off the bench to deliver a pinch hit single in the 5th inning, and that scored Ivan Rodriguez, made it a 1-run ball game, and that's where we stand as the 8th inning begins with a foul ball out of play. Strike 1. Mike Pagliarulo. The Yankees and the Twins, and spent some time in Japan. Back with the Texas Rangers. 1-1 the count. He's part of the new personality on this Texas ball club. They have a positive feel. Foul ball. The count is 1-2. So Pagliarulo leading off the 8th. The right-hander is Eric Plunk, and the left-hander is Paul Ossenmacher.
Many times your team will take on the personality of your manager, and that's been somewhat of a transition for the Rangers.
Strike 3 call.
Ooh. How often we say a pitcher is like a surgeon, how he'll slice up the strike zone. And I would call that one biopsy thin.
I'll tell you, you can see why the Indians light up when they talk about Taveras.
Yes.
He's young and shows that he has a very good idea and the ability to execute the idea.
Well, he has good stuff, and he trusts his catcher and his stuff.
Eric Fox takes it down. Ball 1.
You mentioned Pagliarulo and the Rangers, the new idea. They're having more fun. Not a knock on Kevin Kennedy, but he was more businesslike, and they just didn't seem to have a good mix over there. Johnny Oates lets them relax and play.
And I think the count was of the 28 men who opened on the roster this year for the Rangers, only 7 were on the opening day roster in 1994. So he's dealt with a huge turnover, and so far has been able to mold that rather quickly.
Well, that was one of the reasons they got off to a bad start. He said that there was distractions, some problems, injuries, and the fact that he had so many new players, they hadn't learned to play together. And that's a big situation for a Major League ball club. You learn how to pull for each other, win, play together, and all that sort of stuff, and been able to get it going.
2-1 the count. And a tap that's going to be foul. That has been suggested, and it's hard to tell unless you're really around the club and maybe in the clubhouse, but it's been suggested that's been one of the problems the Orioles have gone through. They've made a number of changes in there, really more changes with their staff and some other personnel changes on the field, but making all of those pieces fit perhaps has been a problem for them. 2-2 the count. interesting how these things work out. While the Orioles have had their problems, the effects of their manager, Phil Regan, who was here as the pitching coach, have been felt here in Cleveland, because it was really Regan who suggested that Mesa maybe could be a closing pitcher. And when they started toying with the idea of Mesa going to the bullpen, he's the fellow who started that. And of course, Mesa has been just unbelievable here, closing out games for the Indians. He's really been, if they had a missing piece to this club, he has taken care of that problem. Another foul ball out of play by Fox. One out, bases empty. We're in the 8th, 6-5. The Indians leading the Rangers. The only scoring down the middle part of this game. The Indians scored all 6 of their runs in the 4th inning. The 3-2 again. Fox sends it foul down the left field side and out of play. Coming up tomorrow night, the Dodgers and the Braves. Mike Piazza will be the starting catcher for the National League. And the Dodgers against David Justice and the Braves. 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific, followed by the Blue Jays and the Angels from Anaheim. There's ball 4 to Fox. So a lot of baseball coming up on ESPN the remainder of this day and tomorrow. Second walk given up by Taveras. He walked Tettleton with 1 out in the 7th and got the double play ball out of Ortiz. Now Beltre is due to hit, but he's going to be lifted. And we'll see Rusty Greer pinch hit for Beltre. Beltre double homer run in the 4th inning. And he's finished going 1 for 3, and Greer will get the call as the pinch hitter, and out of the dugout comes Mike Hargrove.
Now one move dictates another. We saw Paul Assenmacher getting ready in the Cleveland bullpen. So Johnny Oates makes his move. And we'll just wait, see if Mike Hargrove makes his with his young pitcher, and he will. Taveras will leave the ball game, and Paul Assenmacher, who has an outstanding curveball, will make an appearance.
So Black, Grimsley, Taveras, and now Assenmacher will get the call for the Cleveland Indians. We'll be back. It's a 6-5 Cleveland lead. Indians with an 11-game lead in the American League Central Division. They've seen some great things happen here over the last year and a half, and not many people think that they would let that get away from them, including that man, their manager, Mike Hargrove.
I don't think the complacency would ever set in with this group, for the main reason is that they know where everybody here knows where we've come from. And if you keep that going in mind, I had a friend of mine, a guy by the name of Vince Genovese, back in Fort Worth, Texas, tell me one time, he said, Mike, no matter what you do in life, no matter where you go, never forget where you came from. And that's good advice.
They're loose as well. Albert Bell contributing to the pregame interview there with Mike Hargrove. You know, it would be hard for this club to forget from where it has come. And this 11-game lead, the largest first-place lead this franchise has ever had in its 95-year history.
Well, with the group of fellows, and you look at a pitching staff led by Martinez, Hershiser, even Assenmacher, who's been around, and guys on the bench like Winfield and Murray, they won't let you forget. That's the influence they have on the younger players. Now Assenmacher will come on and try to get Greer, and you'd have to think that Johnny Oates knew that Assenmacher would be put in the game if he sent Greer up there. So what he's saying is he would rather see Greer face Assenmacher than he would Beltre face Taveras.
And Greer takes the first pitch from Assenmacher for a strike. Paul Assenmacher features that breaking ball, the 4th pitcher of the day for the Cleveland Indians, and another fellow who has performed very well here in Cleveland. 2-1 with a 146 earned run average, covering 17 appearances coming into this game. 1 on, 1 out. The runner at first is Fox. And Greer takes it for a ball. It's 1-1. 1 on, 1 out. A 1-run game here. The Indians leading 6-5. We're in the 8th. Yankees and the White Sox will be along next. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Greer. Greer's been kind of streaky recently with the Texas Rangers. He is 3 of his last 33 right now, and gets a piece of that one foul.
And even with that in mind, that makes it a kind of a gutsy move by Johnny Oates to use him, Greer, in a situation against a tough left-hander. Although Greer has been productive off the bench and leads the team in RBIs as a pinch hitter.
Fox walked with 1 out. Greer hitting for Beltre. The 1-2 again. Ground ball right side. That's going to slip through for a base hit. Fox is on his way to third, and the throw cut off. It'll be first and third. 1 out for Texas. So a pinch hit single as Greer gets it just through the right side of the infield, out of the reach of Baerga.
Twice in the game. Pagliarulo did it earlier in the 5th with a base hit, and now Greer comes through. Makes a manager look very good when you have your bench players do the job for you, and not an easy pitch. A breaking ball that was headed down and away, and Greer just turned it around and pulled it through that hole on the right side. That's why that walk can hurt you. The first baseman has to hold the runner on. It creates a big hole on the right side, and Greer able to take advantage of that.
And now Otis Nixon, who came into the game hitting .294, and he'll bat right-handed here. He's hit .379 right-handed. And this perhaps some more of the thinking by Johnny Oates. Nixon with great speed in a first and third situation, so he might be tough to double up, although he loses a little bit hitting from the right side, but he's a tough double play man. A 1-run game. And he bunts the ball. The runner remains at third as Ossenmacher had time to look him back. Greer moves up to second, and Nixon is out number 2.
Had to do that on his own.
Yeah.
Unless somebody missed a sign, because he caught everybody by surprise. Nixon does have a couple of sacrifice flies, but here it looked like he tried to push the ball to the right side, and once you get it past the pitcher, the runner from third could have scored, but this is not the case.
And they rule it a sacrifice, and it really is kind of a strange development.
Well, Johnny Oates will shake his head a little bit on that one to me, unless I've completely missed something here. I think Nixon tried to surprise everybody and catch him off guard, and didn't get much accomplished.
Well, McLemore is due. Ossenmacher is going to be removed, and we'll be back with the new pitcher in a moment. For the Yankee White Sox contest, here Eric Plunk takes over on the mound, the 5th pitcher of the day for the Cleveland Indians. Mark McLemore due.
Another good year for Eric Plunk out of the bullpen, 4-1. He has a save, but you don't have to worry too much about that with Mesa down there doing that work. But you may get a 1-batter appearance out of Eric Plunk. That is to say, if they decide to use Mesa in the 9th, depending on the score of the game. But this fellow can overpower right-handed batters.
Well, he's going to face McLemore. Mark, the switch hitter. McLemore into the game hitting .375 right-handed, .266 left-handed.
Which means my comment about overpowering right-handers has no meaning right now. He switched on me.
Second and third, the runners, and the pitch is in there for a strike. And Plunk is always impressed with his arm. It's taken him a while to saddle all of that ability. But when he does, you're right, he is very tough. And he's too high with this one. 1 ball and 1 strike. 41,769 in Cleveland today. Their 16th sellout. 11 straight. There's ball 2. It's 2-1. The runners in scoring position. Eric Fox at third, and at second base, Rusty Greer. So Plunk inherits 2 base runners. Jason Grimsley is the pitcher of record in this game. And a ground ball. That's a fair ball up the right field line. Fox scores to tie, and Greer crosses the plate with the lead run on a double by McLemore. The Rangers have taken the lead in the 8th. It's 7-6. McLemore's second consecutive double. He went up the left field side in the 6th inning, and a double up the right field line in the 8th.
Tried to go with the off-speed pitch. There you see a little bit of a breaking ball. Perry playing off the line, and so McLemore able to get the bat out in front and pull it just out of Perry's reach.
Now Ivan Rodriguez will bat, with the Rangers on top by a run. 1 run charge to Taveras, the other to Assenmacher. Runners going, and the pitch is bounce foul. So McLemore was off with the pitch to Rodriguez. Now Plunk can be very deliberate. He might be a little easier to read, and the idea, if you're going to try to steal third with 2 outs, it should be almost a give me. Another foul ball outside of third.
There's always been that feeling that any good base runner, it's easier to steal third because you get a bigger lead, a better jump. You're right. When you have a deliberate pitcher out there like an Eric Plunk, the jump is even bigger. So even with a good throwing catcher, if you don't give him a chance, there is no chance.
Two strikes the count. We're in the top of the 8th. The Rangers have taken the lead. Rodriguez lifts it into short right. Ramirez under it and makes the catch to retire the side. The Rangers score twice on a couple hits and leave a man. McLemore's double makes it a 7-6 Texas lead headed into the bottom of the 8th. It's a 7-6 ball game. The Texas Rangers have taken the lead with 2 in the top of the 8th inning. Rusty Greer stays in the game and will take over in right field. And the new shortstop, Beltry lifted. Gill enters the game. Benji Gill is now in there at shortstop. Tony Pena due to lead off the bottom of the 8th inning, but Mike Hargrove will go to his bench here with his club down by a run, facing Roger McDowell. So Pena will be lifted in favor of Wayne Kirby, a left-handed bat coming off the bench.
Another one of those percentage moves. What you need is base runners, so you look for a singles type hitter, contact type hitter, and that's Wayne Kirby.
Kirby takes the first one for a ball. Roger McDowell gave up a walk and got 3 ground balls in the 7th inning. So he becomes the pitcher of record. Strike called. It's 1-1. So McDowell the pitcher of record for the Rangers, and at the moment it's Assenmacher. McDowell for the Rangers and Assenmacher for the Indians. 2-1 the count. Whiteside, the right-hander. Vosberg, the left-hander, busy in the Texas Rangers bullpen. There's a tap. McDowell unloads it in a hurry and safe at first. A tumble over there. Pagliarulo had it and lost it, and both Pagliarulo and Kirby are down. Pagliarulo appears to be hurt. That left arm. Pagliarulo reaching back in, trying to come up with the loose ball after he dropped it, and that's where the danger is. Kirby took a tumble, and both Pagliarulo and Kirby are down. You can see Pagliarulo is in pain.
Well, that doesn't look good at all. Won't even speculate on what that might be, but you have some pretty good flesh going at each other. The problem on a play like that is when you reach down to make a play with a runner coming at you, you really expose yourself, and there's no way to brace yourself in defense against an injury. And you're glad to see anybody get up on their feet when you see a collision like that.
A couple views here.
Now, Kirby obviously the lesser of the two, and that's what it there. The knee right into the bicep, I think, of Pagliarulo, or the shoulder. Watch his left knee go right forward, and all he's doing is running, and boy, he catches Pagliarulo flush. Hope it's not too serious.
On top of that, Pagliarulo will be charged with the error, allowing Kirby to reach, and Kirby appears to be okay. We'll be a little more cautious with the report on Pagliarulo. Well, you so often hear of any number of injuries, sprains and tears and so forth, and you hope obviously for the best for the Rangers and Mike Pagliarulo.
You wonder what might happen with Johnny Oates. He's used a few of his substitutes already, and what he may have left over. Clark is hurt.
And Dave Valley.
Yeah, he's a possibility.
Valley has played a couple games at first base, and Johnny Oates toyed with the idea of starting him today before Voit got the start to begin this game at first base. Pagliarulo took over there in the 5th inning. So Johnny Oates looking for another body to play first base now.
Most likely will come out of the Ranger bullpen.
One more time on this tap hit by Kirby in the play at first.
Well, he's going full speed. It looked like he pulled up just a little when he got to the bag, but nevertheless full force on Mike Pagliarulo. So the contact, and then the way Kirby came down on his right shoulder, fortunate that he didn't do some more damage there as well.
So it's a one-run ball game, and the Cleveland Indians have placed the leadoff man on base, and there's Dave Valley. So he's going to come in out of the bullpen, and I think Mickey Tettleton, who just left, is headed toward the bullpen, so they'll have him down there to warm up any pitchers, and Valley will come on to play first base. So it's 7-6 Texas. We'll be back following this. Set to resume. Ruben Amaro is the hitter as he puts down the bunt. McDowell with a pickup and over to first, out there. And up to second base goes Kirby. So Amaro advances the potential tying run into scoring position, with McDowell making the toss to Valley. And now Johnny Oates comes out of the dugout with the top of the order and the left-handed bat of Lofton due.
Well, we almost saw another problem here. You see Roger McDowell going into foul territory and having to flip the ball over Amaro to complete the play. Well, we'll have another pitching change.
So Roger McDowell works an inning and a third. Gave up one walk and is responsible for the man at second base, although Wayne Kirby officially reached on the error. And the Texas Rangers will go to the bullpen. Well, Kirby opened the inning reaching on the error. He was pinch hitting for Pena. Amaro has sacrificed Kirby into scoring position, and we'll be back following this. The new pitcher, Ed Vosberg, the fourth pitcher of the day for the Texas Rangers, with the top of the order and Kenny Lofton's left-handed bat due. So Johnny Oates continues to try to get the best matchup he can from the percentage basis. It's the Rangers, who scored 2 in the top of the 8th, try to protect this slim 7-6 lead.
Well, you get into situation pitching, and for Johnny Oates, he tries to pick that situation for Ed Vosberg. This guy has pitched less than an inning in 10 of his 18 appearances, so they try to find the right spot for him, and that tells you that he doesn't have what you consider overpowering stuff. A little bit of a breaking ball, an average fastball if that, but they try to match him up against a hitter where Johnny Oates thinks that Vosberg has a little bit of an advantage. So here's that typical percentage move that you hear about, now you see in baseball, where you bring in the left-hander to face a left-handed hitter, even though Lofton is a good hitter. It's a matter of trying to hit your spots. Keep the ball away from Lofton if you can.
Well, the top side of the order, Kenny Lofton. Lofton has walked twice, officially 0 for 2, with a fly ball to right and a strikeout swinging. Wayne Kirby is the runner at second base, 1 out in the bottom of the 8th for the Cleveland Indians. And Vosberg misses, ball 1. The Rangers have the lead for the second time today. They led 4-0 at one point, but not very long, because the Indians came back with 6 in the 4th to make it 6-4. Rangers scored in the 5th, added 2 in the 8th to take a 7-6 lead. And a strike to Lofton. 1-1 the count. The error in this inning, the second of the day, charged to the Rangers. The Indians have been charged with 1. Bouncing ball. McLemore at second, over to Valley for the out. 2 gone, and Kirby goes to third with Omar Vizquel due up. Vizquel is nothing out of 4. 3 times has hit the ball into the air. Grounded out to third in the first inning. Everything else either a pop-up or a fly ball. Hitting .256 this time in. Vosberg started it wide and hoped to catch the corner, but did not. Ball 1. Coming up next, the White Sox and the Yankees from Comiskey. Both teams rebounding from disappointing starts. Chris Berman and Tommy Hutton will be along on ESPN with that one. The second game of today's triple header of baseball on ESPN. 1-0 the count. And a strike to Vizquel. Indians have the potential tying run down at third in Wayne Kirby. There it is, and a ground ball This is McLemore. Over to Valley at first, and out go the Cleveland Indians. No runs, no hits, one error, one left. We're headed into the ninth with the score. The Rangers 7 and the Indians 6. We're headed into the ninth inning in Cleveland with the Texas Rangers holding a 7-6 lead. You see Juan Gonzalez set to lead it off, and behind the plate now Sandy Alomar taking over for Tony Pena after Pena was lifted for the pinch hitter in the bottom of the eighth. Gonzalez singled and scored in the fourth, leading off the ninth, and fouls this one off the end of the bat. Strike one. Eric Plunk on the mound for the Cleveland Indians, the fifth pitcher. Gonzalez will be followed by Benji Gill, who's hitting in the spot originally occupied by Mickey Tettleton. Foul ball, straight back and out of play. So a 2-strike count on the Rangers slugger, Juan Gonzalez. All the offense for the Indians came in the fourth. All 6 of their runs and 4 of their 7 hits came then. The Rangers scored 4 in the fourth, 1 in the fifth, 2 in the eighth, and so far the big hit by McLemore, the double up the right field line. 1-2 the count to Juan Gonzalez. And a liner into left, charged by Bell. That hangs up there for him, and he makes the catch for the out. 1 out in the ninth. Well, in the bottom of the ninth, the Cleveland Indians do to have Baerga, Bell, and Ramirez. So this game is not over by any stretch.
There have been many heroics so far this year for Cleveland. Last at bat wins.
Here's Gill. First at bat for Benji Gill. He's hitting .243. And the first pitch is in there for a strike. 0 for his last 12 and 2 for 18. Misses. It's 1-1. Eric Plunk works exclusively out of the stretch just to try to keep everything consistent. He was so tall and so long in his delivery, there was a lot of room for error. Swing and a miss, and the count is 1-2. And so when the 31-year-old right-hander did seem to hit his stride in Cleveland a couple of years ago, he tried to keep everything consistent. He's ahead in the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes, facing Benji Gill. Ortiz, the third baseman, will be next. And a swing and a miss. A little something extra on that one from Plunk. With that good arm, he's always capable of that, and he strikes out Gill.
It almost looks like he reaches back for a little bit extra and just overpowers. You see a good rider there. Benji Gill cannot catch up with it.
79th time Gill has struck out this year. He leads the major leagues in strikeouts. And here's Luis Ortiz. Plunk picks up the corner, strike one. Ortiz 1 for 4, a single and a run scored. He drove in a run in the fourth inning. Plunk has retired the first 2. And picks up the strike. Ahead 0-2.
No wasting any time there, I guess. That's when you shake your head every once in a while, and you do on occasion know that there are other pitches to throw. The breaking pitch to McLemore in the 8th.
Strike 3 call. Ortiz caught looking, and 1-2-3 go the Rangers. Bottom of the 9th coming from Cleveland, 7. We go into the bottom of the 9th at Jacobs Field, 7-6. The Texas Rangers leading by a run. And the Cleveland Indians will have some of the big boppers do. Carlos Baerga, who opened their 6-run 4th with a home run, will lead off, followed by Albert Bell and then Manny Ramirez.
Right-hander Matt Whiteside asked to do something he hasn't done yet this year, and that is save a ball game. There are his numbers. And he has a chore ahead of him. That's that's not in doubt. And the fans, as the Indians come to bat in the inning, they did it earlier in the ball game. That was in the 4th. Now they get that feeling, and can their ball club do it again? Remains to be seen.
Whiteside was on the disabled list earlier this year with some elbow problems, activated at the end of May. And now Carlos Baerga steps in to lead off against him. And the first pitch is high, ball 1. Burrows for 3 1/3, Cook for 2 2/3, McDowell the pitcher of record, an inning and a third, Vosberg 2/3, and now Whiteside. Well, 5 Texas pitchers to go with 5 Cleveland pitchers. Foul ball.
Well, the fellow that's usually the closer, Jeff Russell, on the disabled list, another one of those injuries that has hampered the Rangers. And when you do look at their list of injuries, it is somewhat amazing that they are fighting for that top spot in the Western Division.
And Russell's had some back problems, a disc problem. Into the dirt. 2 balls and a strike. Just in case you were wondering, those 5 Cleveland pitchers made in the neighborhood of 170 pitches today.
Wow.
Two and 1 the count. And a drive into left center field. That ball's going to be in there. Fox cuts it off and holds Baerga to a single. Well, the Indians put the leadoff man on in the bottom of the 9th inning. And Albert Bell is coming to the plate.
Trying to jam him a little bit. This ball up. Baerga just slaps it to left center. This is a good job holding Baerga to a single. You have to get over there in a hurry. Keep the possible double play in order. The reason I say double play in order, you don't expect this guy to come up there and try to bunt a man over.
Albert Bell 1 for 4. Upstairs, ball 1. Bell will be making his first All-Star start this year. Up with his club down by a run. Baerga at first. And a fly ball hit deep to center. Nixon back. He's on the track and makes the catch. Bell hit it back into center to perhaps the deepest part of this ballpark. And Nixon had a little room left on the warning track as he made the catch on that one. So Albert Bell made a bid.
Yes, and that shows power. When you see straightaway power like this, Bell thinks it has a chance, and it does when you get into one like that, but using all of the yard. I'll tell you what does surprise me a little bit on a play like this. You don't see it happen enough, and that is a guy like Carlos Baerga tagging up at first and going to second on that play.
Yep. And Dave Nelson, the first base coach, is having that conversation with Baerga right now.
If the ball is off the wall, the worst that's going to happen is you have a man at second and third and nobody out. And you go from there. You do take a gamble. If it's caught, as it were, then you're starting all over again with a man at second base. And if it leaves the yard, hey, guess what? Ball game over.
Yep. Mayorga still at first with 1 out now. Here's Manny Ramirez. He turned one of those walks into a run scored. 0 for 2 officially. And a strike, the call to Ramirez. With men on base over 400. He started the day 5th in the league in hitting. He's at 333 right now. Right side misses inside. 1-1.
Well, that number translates into what we were talking about in the open with Manny Ramirez. Situation hitting. Hitting in the count, thinking a little bit about what the pitcher is trying to do to him. So the concentration level goes up a little bit with men on base.
And Popper on a little breaking ball. Gill at shortstop makes the catch for the out. 2 gone.
Well, he got away with 1 there. It's maybe one of those days where it's just the luck is on your side. Bell almost hits 1 out. Whiteside hangs a breaking ball. He has a chance for a save. 1 big mile to go.
Two gone with Mayorga still at first. And Jim Thome hit a tremendous blast, his 17th home run of the year, a 3-run shot in the 4th inning. So it's Whiteside and Thome in this 1-run game. The Rangers leading the Indians. And Thome takes a strike on the inside edge. McLemore out at second base. It was his double, his second double of the day, that drove home the tying and go-ahead runs for the Rangers in the 8th. The 1-strike pitch. 1-1. Paul Sorrento has emerged from the Cleveland dugout. He's on deck. Two outs with a man on. Ball 2 to Jim Thome. McDowell and Ossenmacher, 2 veteran relief pitchers, the pitchers of record. Matt Whiteside trying to close it out. That's a tall order against this Indian ball club. They've been so strong at home. 2-1 the count. Here it is. And a broken bat roller to second. McLemore's flipped to first, and the Texas Rangers hold on to defeat the Cleveland Indians. The Indians leave a man in the 9th inning, and the final on this one, the Texas Rangers 7 and the Cleveland Indians 6.